Heidi ho, my crafty friends. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. So today, I thought we would continue working on our little 5x7 journal that we started. And I've been sewing in signatures. Now, you all have watched me sew in signatures with great ease, with great conflict. So I didn't think you needed to watch me sew in all these signatures. But I did want you to see how I sew in a signature if I have a page that's folded. Now, I've also let you see me sew in one of my signatures when it's folded at the bottom. This one, I decided because I really like the mountainscape. It reminds me of home. I wanted to do it at the top. So, I scooted the page up all the way so it's flush at the bottom. I got my holes in. Now, I pre-folded this, when I put it in. And then to sew it in, you have to unfold it. So we're going to go on and sew this in. Now, I need to find my hole. So I'm just going to poke this through the hole in the back so I can see where it is here. With all the flowers, I can't quite see it. Hold on. Hold on a minute. I need to get my pages together. Now, all the others I was able to get in quite easily. So let's get the needle through the pages so I can see where it is here. Where is it? Right there, right between the yellows. Okay. So you start in the middle hole. Now this is for all of our new subscribers that have not seen me sew in signatures. It's really quite simple. Where'd my needle go? There it is. This is called the 3-hole pamphlet stitch, and it's one that I've done many, many times, and you'll see most often YouTube creators use. And then you go either to the top or the bottom. I usually go through the top. Now, I will tell you something here in just a minute. Let me get this done. Okay, now we're going to go through the top. Now, as you can tell, this is folded up, so my stitch isn't going to come in up there. It's going to come in down here into the mountains. Okay, so I need to make sure I don't scrunch that. Okay, now I'm going to bring it all the way down here to the bottom hole. Okay, let me make sure I've got all my pages lined up here. There's one, there's two. Okay, I've got a folded page there. I don't want to pierce. Okay, now through the bottom hole. Okay. Now this is my tail. I don't want to pull it through. But this piece I do want to pull through. Okay, so let's make sure this is snug. Now I'm going to come back in through the middle. So I need to close my book up. And I'm going to come back in through that middle hole. Okay, and I'm going to come in, I'm going to hold this down and hold it. I'm going to come in right through there. And this is the hardest part for me because lining everything up. Okay, there it is. And getting it lined up in that hole. Unless I've used my big bite. Hold on here. I need to turn this upside down. Okay, there we go. There it's coming through. I think I should have used a blunt needle because I keep poking my fingers. Okay, let's get that, whoops, let's get that lined up on those pages. I've got a page right in the middle that's folded, and I'm trying not to pierce the other side as best I can. Let me turn it this way so I can see that folded page. Okay. Where's my needle? There's the folded page that's in my way. Okay, you need to come out. There we go. That's the page that's in my way. Oops, I poked a new hole. Oh well, that happens. Okay. Hello, Baxter. Okay, so we're going to take it through that hole. Oops, doodles. And I'm trying to get it through the page that I folded. There we go. Up, get back in there. And I think now the envelope. Hold on just a second, you guys. Hold on just a second. Okay, sorry guys, the boys had to go potty. Alrighty. Now, you know what I think we're going to do? We're going to take this out. Yeah, don't get your panties in a twist. It's not that big a deal. And we're going to take our awl. And we're going to make this hole a little bit bigger. And then we're going to come down here and do the same thing. The important one is that center one. Right there. Okay, we're going to make sure this is pushed all the way back. Now, I'm also going to get out a blunt-eyed needle. Now, what I mean by blunt-eyed needle, let me show you the difference here, is the point on it. Oops, I've lost my other one. Oops, hope I don't find it on the floor. Is a regular needle has this really sharp tip. A blunt-eyed needle is just really blunt on the top. They've ground off that sharp tip, which is quite helpful when you're trying to sew in signatures. So we're going to use that. So between that and making that center hole bigger, that will help get these signatures in. So as you can see, our center hole is bigger. Let's make that a little bit bigger because the paper's closing up. Yeah, there's an envelope in there. Okay, so let's get this sewed in. So you can see where I was pricking it with that sharp needle. And that was just going to tear up my paper. So let's get this sewed in here. Now, at the top, I still need to be careful at the top because of this folded piece. So I just need to make sure I'm lining up here at the top where I need to be and not bending that. And I don't want to pull my tail through. Now, if you're not sure about your tail, you can always wrap it around your paper clip like that. That'll keep it from pulling through. And when I've done signatures with, 5 and or done books with 5 and 6 signatures, I've done that before. It's much easier to keep track of them. Now we're going to go back to the middle. Now, an important thing to remember is you want to make sure that these are all lined up, in the hole that they're supposed to be in. Now, one thing to help you is make sure that that's come through the hole properly. Kind of close your book up a little bit and then push it through the hole. Okay. Now, one goes on one side, one goes on the other. Now, they need to be even before you tie them. So, by piddling around with the top, pulling it through the top, pulling it through the bottom, you can get these, somewhat even. before you start tying them. And they also need to be snug. Not so snug that they tear your paper, but you want to hear, do you hear that? And you want to get them in place, even with all the rest. And then snug them up. Whoops. Hold them down, snug them up. Okay. Now, if they stick out top or bottom, it's not that big a deal. Especially a little journal like this, because you can trim them, you can leave them alone. You know, it's just not that big a deal. This little journal's for fun. We're just going to play in it. Okay, so I'm going to trim all my strings off all my signatures. Now, for this, now let's get our, oh, here's the needle I took out. Now, let's get all of our needles and our supplies put away, so we're not dropping needles on the floor. All right, let's get that up there. And I am going to sit back down. Okay. Now, to take a little bit of the bulk out up here, we're going to see how much bulk this adds. So we're going to fold it up, and we're going to close up our signature. Now, it has a little bit of bulk. It's not too bad right now, but it does add quite a bit. So I'm going to fold it down flat, and I'm going to cut. Here's my fold. So I'm going to cut just a little tiny slice, like a little V, on either side of that fold, all the way down to that fold. I'm not going to go past that fold. Okay? Let's get rid of some of this stuff that we don't need. So I'm just taking my scissors, and I'm being really careful where I'm cutting. And I'm cutting all the way down to that fold. And then I'm going to do it on the other side. I'm basically cutting out the fold. All the way down. Okay? There's the fold that I cut out. Okay? So I'm going to lay this back down. Now, those points are going to continually get in the way. They're just what points do. So I'm going to round them. And I'm going to lay this back down, and I'm going to make sure, now that's going to be in the way because I left it too long on both sides, and I'm going to make sure I just don't cut the big one. I'm just cutting my strings. Okay, and I'm going to close it back up. Oh, much better. Okay, now we can put this back out of the way. So let's take a quick gander through these signatures and see what we have, and if we need to fold anything else up out of the way or refold anything. So this is signature number 1, and I have a few things that I want to do in here. So some of these are just book pages, and to make some of the book pages look different, I kind of wanted to, I added some washi tape. I folded them a little different. I cut them a little different. I cut them smaller. I left some of them bigger. It just whatever made me happy at the time. And this one I really like, but I want to give this one a bigger cut because it's got such a wide edge. Now, I'm not going to round all of them, but because this has such a wide edge on it, I'm going to round it because I might add a flip out on it, and I want to be able to do that. And when I do it, I can round the flip out. And then this was a folded page that I added washi tape to. Okay. Now this is just a little book page that I created into a flip out. Okay, so it's already a flip out. And I left it short enough that it's not interfering with my spine right there. Now, this is the back of it, and I just used the coffee dyed paper that I cut off as my flip. So it kind of sort of blends in. But when I do something to this page, I can cover it if I want. This is the back side of a book page. Actually, it's a magazine page that I put in, and we'll see the other side. This is a tea-dyed page, and these little blobs are the tea bags that I left laying on there. This is an envelope, and I cut the envelope, and I wanted to show you all something that we found out dyeing envelopes. This envelope I cut, well, now these are shut. I cut all the way down where it comes down. I wish this one I could show you better. I'm going to cut this one the same way. All the way down here where it starts rounding, I cut this off. I went like this. I went like this. I cut this little flap off, and I made it so it was a straight edge all the way across here. Now, something that we found out when I was coffee dyeing envelopes was this is what it looks like when I dye it in the house. Okay? I just put it in front of the heat vent in my house. This is tea dyed in front of a heat vent in front of my house. When later on in the day, it got really, really warm outside. So I thought, I'm just going to take these outside and finish the coffee dye. Because, there's no sense leaving them in the house. So I took them outside and I flipped them over into the sun. Now, they weren't on anything special. Look at the difference. This was the sunshine dry. This part had already dried in the house. This was sunshine. This little piece here got hit with sunshine. This was all sunshine. They were all in the same batch. Look at the difference. So I thought that was very interesting that sunshine dries your coffee, and they were all in the same batch of coffee. I just had them in my pan. I dumped coffee on them. I soaked them. I took them out. I put them on a rack, set them down in front of my heat vent. In the morning, after the morning, it got really warm in the afternoon, so I took them outside, laid them on a, what is that called? It's just like a storage bin, and this part had already dried. They were stacked, kind of like that. So this part showed. This was sitting over top of it, like that. This was from the sunshine. So I thought that was very interesting. So you guys give this a try and see if you come up with the same. And see, this was the side that dried in front of the heat vent. You guys give this a try and see if you come up with the same result. Just plain black coffee. Plain black coffee. Nothing added to it, and I brewed it. I didn't, it's not instant, it's brewed. See if you come up with the same result. Drying it outside in the sunshine, and it sat out there all day, because honestly, I forgot about them. I think they look so stinking cool, and I asked my husband, he's an engineer, why he thought they did this, and he thought it was just because of the sun, sitting out there all day long. He really couldn't give me an answer. So if anybody has any answers or any ideas as to why they did this from sitting in the sun, let me know. Because I am fascinated by this. Because this is how I'm going to dry my envelopes from now on this summer. I'm just going to you know, soak them in coffee. And I'm also going to try it with my index cards. Because I've been drying them in front of, here's some of my index cards. I've been drying them in front of heat vents. See, here are my index cards. I've been drying them in front of heat vents. Even with the air conditioning on, I just dry them in the house. So I'm going to take my index cards outside. Now see, this one got a little dark, but I'm going to try them outside too. And maybe some of my paper, since it's getting warmer, and see if I get the same result on pieces of paper. So I wanted to share that with you guys and see, because normally I use instant coffee, but this was brewed coffee. So try it and see what you guys come up with, and you know, let me know, because I'm fascinated by this. So here's my envelope, and I will be covering this, and I saved a picture that I want to cover it with from a magazine called, from my book, Wildflower Gardening. And I want to cover that, probably with that picture. And this is going to be behind it. So I've already got my picture picked out for it. And then this is just a little piece of a paper bag. This is another, this is a page from that same book, Wildflower Gardening. This was the top of the page. I think this is the part, no, this is the top of that page. Here. It went like that. And I really liked that. I thought that was very pretty. And then this is from a different book. It's called Life in California. I think it's what it's called. Something about California. And that's where this came from. And I just love that picture. I just think it's so pretty. On both sides, I think it's very pretty. And then more coffee dyed paper. And then this is the back side of that other page. This is the rest of my little paper bag. This is the other side of my envelope. And I'll be using probably one of these pictures on this envelope. Each one of my signatures has an envelope. And we'll be doing something different with each of them. This is the other side of my magazine, and this is the back side, or it's actually the front page of my magazine, and I just love those pictures. And then this is the folded page I was telling you about, and I think I want to refold it so it's like this. This is the little stinker that was giving me so much trouble. And I want to round these pages. Now see, this is tea-dyed paper, and it was made during the winter and dried in front of the heat vent. My husband's black tea that he drinks, now it will not cut, makes the best tea-dyed paper. Okay, we're going to have to put some more behind you. Okay, you're not even going to cut that way. Good gracious. All right, let's try. Let's see. Oh, what did cut it that time? Okay. Okay. Did cut you that time. There. So I wanted that page rounded. Now this is signature, the end of that signature, and this is signature number 2. And this is from a different magazine. And this is a folded page, and we're going to leave those square. And here's another envelope, but I left this one regular envelope, but it's open. It's open over here. It's open on this side, and we're going to make a tag that comes out this way. This needs closed up here. Goofy thing. So we're going to glue the top closed here, like that. but we're going to leave the side open right here because I want a tag to come out that way. But we're going to cover, we might cover the front of that. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Now, this is another book page, but I didn't want to lose any of the book page. So I want to do something with this book page, but I want to keep it folded. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with it. PJ hears me talking to you guys. He wants to know who I'm talking to. Now, this is another page from California. And I just love this page. Look at those beautiful flowers. Isn't that beautiful? I just love those. And then just more coffee dyed paper. And then this is the back side of that envelope. And again, we're going to have that open. And we need to glue that flap shut. So let's go on and do that. So we're going to go on and glue that flap shut there so that it can dry. And then while we're here, we're going to go on and cut this. Okay, so now this is open and ready for us to put our tag in. And then this is from a magazine here. And these are lit. You know, they're not real. They're just lighted. That's from a magazine. And then this is the back side of that envelope. So I'm not sure what I want to do. I think I want to do something with that window. So I'm not going to do anything with that one. This is just a book page. This was actually something that we got in the mail. Just junk mail that we got in the mail. But it looked like writing paper, so I thought, well, we might do something with that. That was from a garden magazine. This is the book page, and I want to do something with this, just like the other one. So I'm thinking I'm going to move it up, maybe up in here. So I want to paper clip it up in here. I'm just not sure what I want to do with it yet. So we'll figure that out. There, we'll put it there so we don't lose it. And then this is a little piece of paper bag. And I think I want to go on and glue this closed here. I kind of sort of maybe, have an idea for it. So I want to glue this closed at the bottom. And I think I want to make a pocket for a big tag with it, but I also want to put pockets on the front of it, and the same thing on the back. I want to add pockets on the back of it, so this would be good for a big tag. That's my idea for it. I want to put a big tag inside and then smaller pockets on the outside of it, and then this is the back side of it, and it's open. So I want to leave it open and do something with it. But it's torn down here at the bottom. So we're going to have to add washi tape to it. So when we get to that, we'll add washi tape. Garden magazine. Here's the other side of that advertisement we got in the mail. So we'll probably cover that. I know we'll cover that. There's that book page. And the last thing is my other envelope. Now I added two tucks, one in the front and one in the back, and I will be adding corners to it, and I'm not sure what I want to put on the front. And see, remember I told you to make sure that they line up. Mine does not line up. Mine's scooted. Actually, I didn't even get that tied in very tight. See, that is not tied in tight. So I need to go into this signature and get it in there and tie it in tighter, because I should not be able to put my finger in there. Like that. I should not be able to do that. So I didn't get that tied in, but I'm going to cover that, so I might be able to just glue it in. So I don't know what I'm going to do to decorate the front of it yet, but I do know I'm going to cover this. So I want to show you on the spine, this split right here. This is split on the spine, the paper split. So I wanted to cover the spine. And as you can also tell, my signatures aren't straight. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to show you what happens when you don't measure, when you don't make a template. I purposely did not make a template for this. I measured the top and then I eyeballed the rest of them. And let me tell you something. That was the most difficult thing I have ever done in my life. But I wanted to show you what happens. Even if you think you're an eagle eye, don't do that. Because I did measure down for the top, and then I thought, okay, how can I show them that you really have to measure the rest of them? I knew where the center was, so I made my center dot. But then after that, things went bad, because unless you can really see, you can see this one's off a little bit, that one's off a little bit, unless you are really good at seeing things. Now, they're not off that bad. They're just off a little bit. But that little bit is what causes the problem. Now, I do need to go in and tie this signature a little bit tighter. Now, I've already cut this, but that little bit is what's causing the problem here. Because this one is probably about the straightest of them. And when I snug it, it pulls them past these. So, to take care of that, all right, oops, let's fold that back down so we don't tear it. To take care of that, I'm going to leave it where it is. And when we cover this, see, and opening and closing is causing this to tear more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on here because I'm going to cover this with paper. I'm going to put glue right here. And the paper that I cover this with will stop this. And I'll also be putting glue on my signatures. And that will keep them from moving. Now, I cut the paper to fit this outside piece. Now, you could also use lace. You could use fabric. You could use anything you wanted out here. I chose paper to start with, and then probably over top of it will go lace. Maybe not. Okay, so I'm really putting the glue on here. Then I'm going to take my finger, and I'm just spreading it out. I want to make sure I get that tear. And I want to make sure I come over the edges. Now, I cut my piece 3 inches wide. So I need to make sure. So I'm just marking a little center nip in it. Let me grab my paper towel here so I can wipe my finger off. I'm not going to fold it. I just need to make sure I get a little center piece here. So I get it centered. So it's the length of the book and it's 3 inches wide. Okay. Now, it'll also get glued down on these sides. I'm just working it down here before I glue it down. Now, on my front, I probably will put something else. On the back, I will not. All right, so let's glue down the back first. So I'm going to pull the back out, and I'm running my glue down the back. Okay. Now I want to make sure that this is sticking down. Okay. And then I want to do the front. Oh, I want to show you how I made sure my, I want the cover I did on the inside there too. On the inside, whoops, hold on a second here. Let's make sure that this is down. So what I did was I just put my glue right across the edging, and then a little squirt right through here, and then I just spread it out with my bone folder. Now I'm making sure that nothing is stuck to the paper here. Okay, now on the inside where the two papers met, where these two papers met, I added a piece of washi tape all the way down as the paper was drying, to make sure that the papers didn't come up. So I need to trim this off here. And then each time I added a layer of something, I put it back underneath and let it dry. Okay, so now I'm going to add my book corners. And they will dry. Your book corners need to be glued on. Now, I put book corners on books made from cereal boxes only because they're not very sturdy. Now, you don't have to if you don't want to. They are not mandatory, of course. But I do it just because it's just thin cardboard. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. That's not the one. 4. Now, to put book corners on, any decorating that you're going to do on the inside, whether it be a pocket, anything that's going to take up edge space, pockets, lace, fabric, anything like that needs to be done before you do this. So if I'm going to put anything on this edge here, or I mean on the top or bottom edge, I need to do it now before I do a book corner. Okay? I need to do it before I do a book corner, because the book corner is going to go here. So if it's going to do something across here, then I need to do it before I do this. If it's going to be something across the top, I need to do it. If I'm going to put a closure in here, then I don't need to worry about it. I can, I can put it in anytime I want. If I'm going to, put something up here, I'm okay. Understand? I mean, you all are smart. You've got this figured out. So, what I normally do is I use my Fabri-Tac, and I put on the inside. Oh wait, I need my chompers. I use my little flat nose, and I just put on the inside here just a little drop. It does not take much. It just takes a little, just a little tiny drop. And then you put it where you want it. Now you have to make sure that it's scooted all the way up. And then I start to squish because these inside things squish down. And I'll use the edge of my paper towel so I don't scratch them. I push in and squish down. Make sure it's all the way up. Now on hardback books, I don't normally do this. On fabric books, I don't do this at all. Some hardback books I do, that I do. Okay, there's one. Now you can tell the difference from where I squeezed it without the paper towel and where I squeezed it with the paper towel. Okay. All right, get up there. Now, you do have a couple of minutes while your glue is drying. If you haven't got it squished up, if it's moved, just squish it up. Now, if you don't have Fabri-Tac, I'll show you how you can do it with your art glitter glue. Use your fine tip. Make sure it's cleaned off at the top. Take it off the bottle. You want to take it off the bottle and kind of clean it off a little bit. You want this to be the finest that it can possibly be. Otherwise, it's going to squirt everywhere. On the inside, run a fine bead of glue. I haven't used this today. Good heavens. Quit being Mr. Fancy Pants. Okay. You want this to be the finest bead of glue it can possibly be. Come on. Quit being Mr. Fancy Pants here. There we go. Okay. All right. On the inside, you want to run a fine bead against that back wall, like that, and against that back wall. That's all you want it to look like. And then when you put it on, you shove it up. So you want it to be as close to your book as you possibly can. And I'm going to get a clean paper towel. Where did I put them? Oh, they're right here. Now, if you don't have a paper towel, just use a scrap piece of fabric. You know, anything that you can put against them so that you're not scratching them up. So put that against them and hold it. And then squeeze. Make sure you squeeze in the middle. Okay. Make sure it's all the way up. Now your middle piece definitely needs to be squeezed down or you're going to scratch your hand. There. Especially if you're going to sell a book with it. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to do the same for the back. This actually sometimes this works better than the art glitter. I mean, than the other, because it doesn't tend to squish out as much. Let's see. Make sure you put them on the right way. I have put them on the wrong way before. Luckily, I've caught them. You know, before they've dried, I've put them on upside down. Okay. Now, if you've got the hand strength to squish them in yourself, that helps too. I used to be able to do that. Okay, I think that needs to go down a little bit. Okay, and the last one. You're gluing flat down on paper, so any of your glues that glue on paper, you're good on. It can be your what is it? Your Eileen's will glue it, because you're just gluing to paper. Now your Eileen's is really wet, so you just need to be really careful with it. You don't want to overdo it. Now, if you don't have book corners, you don't need to use book corners. Okay. There we go. All done. Now we can put that away. Okay, so now our signatures are in. We've got the side covered. There we go. Now, I just have to decide what I'm going to do on the side here, on the front. And I'm sure I'll decide something by our time our next video rolls around. And then we'll start decorating some pages. And I'll decide on a closure, because I can already tell she's going to be a little chubster. Because I love decorating this type of journal that, you know, it's just fun to play in. So, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. And I want to thank you for having some fun with me. And for just playing and making a fun little journal that we can play in. And I hope that you had a great day. And I hope that you enjoy making a fun little journal with me and playing along. And until I see you again in our next Ladybugs journal, ta-ta for now.